What's up, Dextards, and welcome back to another Dexter Original Sin episode breakdown. We're finishing today's double bill with episode 3, Miami Vice. We open on a press conference for Jimmy Powell. Everybody in the precinct is watching Spencer talk, bar Dexter. He's just disturbed that someone would go after a child, a trait he's had since episode 1 of the original show.
Children, I could never do that, not like you.
Dexter explains that the culprit probably used something spring-loaded. While Masuka is proud, it probably comes out in the worst way possible given the situation. We find out that Deb wants to become captain of her volleyball team to seal her scholarship. Unfortunately, she has some competition in the form of a rich girl using a pool party to sway people's votes. Deb senses a way to sway the public opinion, offering to get the girls their coke if they come to her movie night. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a way to get coke. While the group discussed whether or not Jimmy's mutilation was cartel crime, not yet Lieutenant Maria LaGuerta walks in. She almost immediately goes to Dexter for help, almost as a foreshadowing for when she fancied him for about 3 episodes in season 1. But Batista quickly sways in to try and secure her, an obvious precursor to the shortest marriage in the show. But LaGuerta isn't buying it. She says she doesn't fraternize with colleagues, so clearly she's not playing the politics game yet. LaGuerta has been sent to Miami Metro to sort out why they don't value underprivileged people like homeless and drug abusers. As Miami Metro has an inside joke of calling them no human involved cases, the precinct obviously doesn't take too kindly to her. Spencer already could tell Maria's a climber, trying to make her way to the top of the ranks, and thus enforces Harry to keep an eye on her. Dexter's on his first ever stalk, looking to take out Batista's one that got away, Tony Ferrer. Dexter decides to try and enact the next rule of the code, ensuring that Tony is actually guilty. He breaks into Tony's house to find some things out. He finds out Tony's leaving for a place tomorrow, and also what the contents of his fridge tastes like. I like this detail. Dexter is sloppy. There's no way I could see him doing this type of thing in the original show, but on your first stalk, why the fuck not? Dexter thinks he's been caught when he hears the words, "Honey, I'm home," but when they repeat, he finds out it's just a parrot. Dexter takes the records of the people Tony has killed and does some research on Miami Metro time. This is the first of many hours they'll be paying him for doing his own work. Dexter needs to score a fake ID and gets it off Masuka of all people. Once again, he takes to using Patrick Bateman as his alias. A movie carries on for about a decade. Deb comes home with her friend who immediately tries to flirt with Dexter, but the serial killer, who's actually just a bit autistic, doesn't realize what she's doing. What he does realize is she's wearing Nurse Mary's earrings, and this scares the living daylights out of him. Desperate to get the earrings back, Debra manages to blackmail Dexter into scoring the coke for her party in return for the earrings. At dinner, Dexter is death staring Deb's friend Sophia because she has the earrings, but Harry mistakes it for him finding her attractive. Dexter fesses up immediately about having kept trophies, and Harry is fuming with him for having broken the first rule of the code, that being don't get caught, by keeping evidence. A flashback shows Laura Mosa and Harry working together to figure out large buyers and work their ways to Estrada to imprison him and the rest of his gang. Laura seems to be enjoying herself, but I think we all know that smile isn't going to last very long. Dexter's out stalking again at the exact time that Tony said he would be on his date on his calendar. Dexter decides to try and get up close and personal with his victim. Very dangerous for a first stalk, but he's inexperienced, and we know he's getting off on this. He wants that gratification. Tony's about to leave, but Dexter shits himself and accidentally asks the man for money, knowing full well he shouldn't do that, and that it's going to lead down a slippery slope if he's not careful. But I think we all know that Dexter is fully intent on killing this man, and that he's not paying that money back, or anything else. While out shopping for a new pair of earrings to replace the ones Sophia currently has, Debra asks Dexter why he actually has those earrings. He makes up a lie off the cuff that they were meant for their mother for Mother's Day before she sadly passed away, and Deb buys it. Dexter's got what he wants now, so he owes Deb some coke. And obviously he's not going to get his little sister cocaine, so he devises a recipe which will imitate the properties of the drug without the problems. LaGuerta and Harry have a little conversation about homicide and Maria's piece when she came in that made everyone take a disliking to her almost immediately. Flashing back, we see Harry and Laura moving up the drug chain to try and bust Estrada. On the day arranged that Dexter needs to meet Tony, he obviously doesn't have the money. Tony pulls a gun and uses the same intimidation technique he used on the immigrant that led Dexter to him, that being shooting beside the head to scare. This is what Dexter wanted, as he was able to get the bullet and run tests on it. I like this match cut where they show the difference between Dexter holding the bullet outside and then inside with his lab clothes on. Dexter finds out he was right about the kidnapper and that he had used Jimmy's finger and cut it off with a garden tool, but he's not exactly pleased with this information. What he is pleased with is the fact that the shot that was taken at him matches the one shot at the immigrant, and so he knows that Tony is in fact now part of the code. Dexter reports his findings to Harry, and Harry is just disappointed to find out that the job and his one kill of Nurse Mary wasn't enough to satiate his needs. He demands to know that everything that Dexter does from now on, and Dexter agrees. In a flashback, we see Harry and Laura still moving up the chain while executing part of their plan. A man, Santos Jimenez, who also took part in Laura's execution, demands she get in a car. Harry and Bobby, Harry's partner on this case, tail the car that Laura is in. When it seems like Laura is about to get caught, she seems to smooth talk her way out of it, but then they drive into a shipping yard, and her wire cuts out. My heart was in my fucking throat here, I'll be straight up. Like, I know what's going to happen, I've seen the original show, but it still had me on the edge of my seat. That is good writing. Unfortunately, as it gets good, we need to flash forward. Deb is preparing for her party, and Dexter initiates the plan to get his earrings back. He gives Sophia the new earrings, and she has the old ones back without a hitch. Deb's party's in full swing now, and Dexter seizes out to go take care of Tony. Unfortunately, a woman wants to speak to him. He manages to luckily evade Sophia's advances. Remember the kid who's been kidnapped? We haven't seen him in a while, but he's finally escaped the box and been murdered by the looks of it. Earlier in the episode, Maria and Harry had a spat about witnesses talking to officers based on who speaks to them. Maria believing that Harry came off as someone not trustworthy to Hispanic people because he was white in a Hispanic neighborhood. She ultimately proves herself right in that she was able to get a witness to speak to her while Harry couldn't. Flashing back, and my blood pressure lowers immensely as we see that Laura has survived her first visit to the shipping container. You only get so many of those, and hers will soon be running out. But Laura has good news for now for Harry, as she informs him that she's gotten even higher on the food chain. Breaking into Tony's, Dexter still hasn't discovered M99, so he has to wrestle the brute. He sets the parrot free, which was a welcome surprise. I really thought he was going to kill it, but I guess he's got a taste for humans now, so animals just aren't going to do it. Tony wakes up in the sports place he and Dexter met, wrapped in plastic. After a rough confrontation, Dexter launches the ball towards Tony and cuts his cheek. It's a nice little nod to a move he'll later perform regularly, slicing his victim's cheeks open. Tony wakes up again, wrapped up in plastic on the floor this time, because shit is about to get messy. Dexter kills Tony and sends him off to the same place he sent Nurse Mary, but this time dismembered. He's getting into his final form, aka the Bay Harbor Butcher. He listens to Harry's words and dumps Nurse Mary's trophies, but doesn't look back in time to notice that his dismembering has floated back to the surface. Maybe he should have used some weighted bin bags. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of our double bill for today, being Miami Vice, Episode 3 of Original Sin. What did we all think? Please let me know in the comments. I will be reading them all and checking them out. And unfortunately, there will not be an episode next week, but I'll see you in 2 weeks for Episode 4.